Super quick. I ain't wasting my phone time, my battery time, for my YouTube viewers who are so pathetic they have never even bothered to look onto my webpage and put any money in my PayPal or Stripe. Anyway, this is better. I hate the word therapy. Just life. Lifey, wiseish life advice than your absurd Jordan Peterson. I mean, Jordan Peterson, he gets his slight slap on the wrist from his University of Toronto for writing things. You see, they all turn it into this like, oh, we're victims. I mean, there's a very wealthy man who can afford the most absurd suits. Anyway, let's keep to the point. This is actually better therapy than any. No, let's not use that word. Better just fucking well giving it to them than you. But I'm being deadly serious now because 17, 18 years ago I used to counsel people for basically free. It was the biggest mind fuck ever, but I'm glad I did it because blah blah blah. Who were involved in tragic wars, and everybody's been there. Not me. But I admire Rachel Cusk alone in this society as a writer, because she wrote her memoir where she described fully, graphically. There was a scene at her lawyer's where she says she just behaved like some absolute Nazi, basically, because if you damage children, you're damaging them for life. And by not being sane after a separation, that's what you're doing. Anyway, I admire her alone because she described how she went through a very, very, very crazy period and gradually came back out of it. Anyway, so I would explain to people 17, 18 years ago, listen, digital texting, if you've got conflict with somebody, it never works. Pick up the phone, speak to them. And furthermore, what comes in via a text, don't second guess it. Often there could be 7 meanings to what you read, and we always assume the most painful meaning. Anyway, to the point. The following I have explained to several people over the last few years. Is it longer ago than that? I kind of worked out there's a great strategy, but you mustn't use words like strategies, because even that will be a microaggression to this. Everybody's just become so ridiculously oversensitive in this society. Here is a way none of your Rogans, Petersons, I think Sabine would get this, but your new, well, they're not new anymore, they're your current voices out there, supposedly of authority, but none of them have got any authority, because none of them would actually understand. The following is an extremely good way of dealing with when somebody has just been unfair to you. And I've always forgotten, because I couldn't actually be bothered. I was going to give a hypothetical example. Oh yes, I know who. Tragic. The only human being for 2 years, well, for 10 years, maybe even 20 years, actually in reality about 30 years, who I've valued. So, like all of them, they're just, oh, I don't like this, it's truth. Somebody's actually trying to communicate. It's called a friend is somebody who constructively critiques occasionally. Oh no, block. Anyway, I can say this because she even smiled at me and waved. After quite a few blockings, it was quite funny. I must write some really good poems about her blockings. Yeah, so much for the warrior. Anyway, let's keep to the point. Genuinely, thank you. Because you get a bit bored of going to buy or get a new free sim from, what's that place in Helston? The Underclass shop? Yeah, you get free sims and then you got to register them and it takes about half an hour. So eventually, after about 3 months, I went to get my last new changed SIM as a spare number. And I went for a T-Mobile. You see, you won't see paid promotion in my videos. No, I didn't. Yeah, I was one of the first ever mobile phone adopters in Britain because they were free. Because they were about freedom, and I used to keep mine in my pocket. Never took it out. But, I've had contracts with all of them, and pay-as-you-go with all of them. Yeah, I hate. There's one thing I adore. Adored. I think he's got a bit. The depression has taken him. But anyway, I walked into a mobile phone shop in Hereford, the 3 shop, with my camera rolling. About 8 years ago, was it? Nearly 10 years ago. Hello. I assume mobile phone salesmen lie. I'm going to have my camera rolling, a very cheap old digital thing. If you lie to me, I'm going to put this onto YouTube. And the magnificent Callan, only 21. Jesus Christ, it was a beautiful half an hour. He just went along with it, and he didn't lie. He actually ended up selling me, because I had a few questions written down. He actually answered the question, and this is a lad from a deprived background, and he was brilliant. So he got my business, and he didn't lie. A bit later on, he unfortunately was blinded by the PR, and a few years on, when we were discussing, because we remained extremely good friends. In fact, he was kind of under my wing as a grasshopper. He said, "Yeah, who are you are going to be okay." No, Callan, no. America has ganged up against them, and that's it. Once America said they're over, they're over. So he turned out to be wrong about that one thing. He was just blinded by Huawei they were horrible phones, but they did have, because that was my number one thing. I asked him, "Callan, as simple as possible, but with a very good camera you can more or less point and press." Anyway, and he was right about that. So why have I actually mentioned this? Yes, I know why. Because you don't trust any of them. Anyway, so purely because I wanted another SIM. I can't be bothered to change provider and all of that. Now, I'd had a Vodafone when I moved to Pastiland, my previous area. 3 was actually slightly better, very hilly, my past area. So it's okay, T-Mobile, which my normal work phone number is on, that isn't data. Many years I've had that. Disaster where I was staying on the Avenue Saint-Juin. Yes, so I tried a Vodafone SIM out, and much better. Anyway, so I was going in. I'd been into the Vodafone shop a few times. God, they're horrible. And anyway, this one went into one, and there's this fantastic young woman there. Just straight away, I can trust you, I think. So, sell me a T-Mobile SIM contract, 1 year, unlimited texts, unlimited calls. I never use those two really, or very rarely, and 100 gigabytes of data. £12.95. Now, if you actually apply, if you get it by post from this is a Talk Mobile, that's right. If you apply by post,